Hello. I guess that's a better start. Ladies and gentlemen, a friendly reminder that on Monday you have 11 through 20. On Tuesday, 21 through 30. On Wednesday, you have a test. 25 questions, multiple choice. Please make sure you are getting your focus and your pieces. You picked up your pieces yesterday. You did not pick up pieces yesterday. You have the pieces. Is everyone clear? Just because I'm an idiot and didn't give it to you at test day doesn't mean you don't have. I got it. So please make sure that you are working on your assignments this weekend. It'll make your life easier. With that being said, to be successful in today's instruction, you need to have a whiteboard ready to go. Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is it called when goods are moving between Europe, Africa, and the Americas? What do we call it? If it's dead, throw it away, Sam, please. Good. What is it? Evan? Triangular trade. What are the goods moving from Europe to Africa? What do we call them? Like, broad name. What's a broad name? Good. I got 1, 2. Good. What is it, Daniel? Manufactured goods. Give me 2 specific manufactured goods that are moving from Europe to Africa. Good. What do we got, Brian? Guns and textiles. You could have also had rum on there as well. On your whiteboard, what are they exchanging manufactured goods for in Africa? What are they exchanging for manufactured goods for? No, Jared. What is it? Emily? Slaves.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, they're getting slaves in exchange for manufactured goods. Those slaves are going to go where? Those slaves are heading where? Good. Where are they heading, Katie? Americas. What country purchased the largest amount? Does that make sense? Do you see the difference between the questions? What is it, Cade? Brazil. Why does Brazil purchase the most slaves out of all countries? What are they mass producing? Good. What? Sugar death. Jesus. Sugar death? I guess you're not wrong when they... Sugar death.
Yeah, it was,
A lot of death with the
Yeah.
sugar? Okay,
yeah,
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sugar is what Brazil produces, as well as a lot of death. And that is formal analysis by Emily back there. On your whiteboard. Americans are buying these slaves in exchange for what? It's a big broad term. These Americans are buying goods in exchange for what, Sam? Raw materials. On your whiteboard, give me 2 examples of raw materials Americans are selling in exchange for slaves. Good. What are they getting in exchange? Brian? Cotton and sugar. Tobacco is another one you could have had. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, but those are the big crops. Where are these items going? These raw materials are now heading where after the Americas? Ashlyn? Europe. They're going to sell raw materials in exchange for what from the Europeans? Broad. Europeans have slaves, huh? That's where they're picking up slaves, huh? What are they getting? Tess? Manufactured goods. And those manufactured goods are going to be sold where? Look at you, Madison. It's a whiteboard question, but I appreciate that. Africa, as Madison said.
Well, you went like that, so I figured you wanted like a collective group answer. But
No, when I want a collective answer, I say, who can raise your hand and tell me? It's okay, Madison. We're here to make you happy anyway. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, triangular trade, you feel like you got a good grasp on it? Okay, keep in mind, it's typically the same ships going around and around. It's the same crews carrying around all of these items. So please keep that in mind. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the empire that Sunni Ali starts in Africa? By the way, this is from your notes yesterday. Good. What is it? Lily. Songhai Empire. What makes the Songhai Empire's military special? Good. What do they have, Alexa?
muskets.
Why is that special? What is so special about them having muskets, Joey?
They're the only ones in Africa with muskets, so they.
No, like there's people in Africa with muskets, but what makes this Songhay
Oh.
special, Lauren?
Because they're like full military has it.
Yeah, everyone in the military has it, and that's what makes it special. Because there are guns, people are buying guns, but their entire military force has it. On your whiteboard, please tell me, the Portuguese are going to shut down what region of Africa because they're going to confiscate their ports, which will stop them from being able to trade. I have a lot of wrong answers here, but I have some right ones. What is it, Evan? Swahili city-states are going to close because the Portuguese are going to confiscate their ports. On your whiteboard, what kingdom is going to be friendly with the Portuguese, but eventually the Portuguese will conquer them? Who is it? What do we got, Jared?
Congo.
Congo. Who is the king of the Congo who is going to convert to Roman Catholicism? Good. What is it, Sophia? Mbembe. On your whiteboard, Nzinga Mbembe, when he becomes a Catholic, changes his name to what? Good. Some of you have the wrong answer because you don't have numerals after. If you don't have numerals, it does not score. Peter?
This one?
Peter?
What does it say, Peter?
On someone's board, Jared.
Oh.
Who is it, Sam?
Honestly.
Who is it, Sam? Alfonso the First. Alfonso the First. On your whiteboard, please tell me what is the name of the empire that is going to fight the Portuguese with the Dutch? Good. Who is it? Cade. Ndongo. Alright, that's where we'll pick up. So, the Kingdom of Congo with a K. It is important that you understand the Kingdom of Congo with a K. I'll get there. The Kingdom of Congo with a K is by African. Kingdom of Congo with a C is going to eventually be Europeans. Okay, so keep that in mind as we talk about these. So the Kingdom of Congo is going to fall to the Portuguese because the Kingdom of Congo is going to stop trading slaves with them. And the Portuguese are going to get annoyed by that. Why do they want to stop trading slaves with the Portuguese? Why do they do that, Madison?
Because it's dangerous.
Why? Yeah, because if you sell slaves, do the Portuguese see a difference between the people of the Congo and people of other ethnicity? No, they just see black people and like, oh, black people slaves. Okay, so they stopped trading with the Portuguese in order to protect their own people. And how do the Portuguese feel about it? They're not good, so they just say, screw it. If you're not going to sell it to us, we'll just conquer you and just steal them. So, and that's going to be the first time that Europeans are going to colonize Africa. Is it the last time? No, the whole continent's going to fall. All right, so Kingdom of Ndongo, which is where we left off talking about. Kingdom of Ndongo is going to have Queen Nzinga. She is not related to King Nzinga Mbembe. They just have similar names. Okay? She is going to unify with the Dutch to fight against the Portuguese. She and the Dutch are going to fight together against the Portuguese. She is the first African to form an alliance with another European country. Okay, she will not be the last, but she is the first. She will lose. However, she puts up one hell of a fight. By the way, this is our fourth woman. We only have 4 more to go. What? To try to create a European alliance. She does it with the Dutch. It's going to fail. They'll eventually be conquered. But she does put up a hell of a death. Hell of a fight, not a hell of a death. She does die in a pretty glorious way too, but okay. Skip a space, center it. Center it. I'm just a mess. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't have to write this down. We understand that Islam is in sub-Saharan Africa. Can we agree? Because of trade, it's been there since the opening of the trans-Saharan trade. It's just continuing. And so we're going to start seeing that. Okay. The Fulani is your next heading though. Okay, the Fulani are going to be in sub-Saharan Africa, and they are the first ones to really implement Sharia law in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, so in sub-Saharan Africa is fine. West Africa is fine too. They're the first ones to really be implementing Sharia law. Who can raise their hand and tell me what Sharia law is? Oh God, guys, you've got to retain some of this content. What do you got, Lily?
It's the body of laws that rule the Muslims.
Yeah, Muhammad came up with them. Okay, and they're trying to force it on their people. Okay, so skip the space, center it. So the Fulani are trying to. So Islam is going to spread very naturally through Africa. That makes logical sense, correct? It wasn't brought by force. It was brought by traders, and people adopt it because they want to. Like Sundita, who wants to promote trade, accepts it. People are going to start adopting it. Christianity in sub-Saharan Africa is your next title. Okay, Christianity in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, you need to know that Christianity is brought by the Portuguese. At first, obviously other nations are going to bring it as well. The first bouts of Christianity, besides, what kingdom is Christian by their own right? They're the only ones who adopt it freely and by choice. Brian? Kingdom of Aksum. Remember, they get it from the Indian Ocean Basin, which is super weird and super random, correct? Okay, so Christianity is going to start spreading through Africa via the Portuguese. However, you need to know it's going to become, syncretism is going to happen with African beliefs. You can raise your hand and tell me what syncretism is. What is syncretism? Every hand should be up because this is a fundamental component. Daniel.
A mix of like their culture and religion, and like it kind of changes a little bit. Like.
Well, yeah. Well, so all of a sudden, what color do you think Jesus is going to look like? Yeah, because in Europe they made Jesus white. Guess what color Jesus is not?
White.
Yeah, Jesus is brown. Okay, he's from the Middle East. People in the Middle East are brown. Don't tell my mother. Okay, so with that being said, syncretic beliefs are going to start happening with African culture. It is going to be, there's a major movement called the Antonian movement, which is right here, which is led by Donna Patrice. You need to know this. This is a test question. Okay, the Antonian movement is led by Donna Patrice, okay, who believes she is in direct contact with Jesus. Uh-oh, is that what you said? She's kind of a wackadoodle. Yep. We're just running right through them. Yeah, so we got 2 more women to go. 3 more. Just kidding, I can't do math. I'm a history teacher. Alright, so you need to know the Antonian movement is going to be led by Donna Patrice. She believes she has a direct connection to Jesus. Okay? So, you need to know that she is going to spread Christianity throughout Africa, and she promotes Black Jesus. Okay, she's going to promote a Black Jesus. What?
Where's she from?
She's from Africa. I'm like 99% sure. Why? Why is that a weird name?
It just sounds
I
like
know. I don't know. Could be. I don't know. Google her. Someone Google her and tell me if she's white or black. Well, yeah, you'll be able to tell if she's from Portugal or not. Donna Patrice is kind of a Portuguese name. Then having a white lady wander around Africa and talking about Black Jesus, like that's a lot too, right? Especially during this time. She's black. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay. There you go. Thank you. So she's a black woman wandering around Africa, talking and preaching about Black Jesus. Okay. Huh? What is the matter? What's wrong with Black Jesus? Black Jesus is like a real thing. Like there's a church in Tampa today that has a Black Jesus above it. If your church has a white Jesus, you're just as wrong if you think Black Jesus is wrong. Like my mother's Jesus in her Catholic church is like pasty white. Like pasty white. Like ghostly white. Jesus didn't look like that either. So my mom, when I point this out to my mother, and she's like, I was like, well, you could put a Black Jesus up there. She's like, that is wrong. Mother, your Jesus is wrong too. And she's like, that's the Jesus in my heart. Huh? She's like, well, look at the Sistine Chapel. It's all a bunch of white people. I was like, Mother, that's not how you reason things. Anyway, moving forward. There's actually a church here in Tampa that has a Korean church that has a Korean Jesus. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And in Hawaii, we walked by a church. Like, your girl didn't go to church, is what I'm saying. And they had like a Hawaiian-looking Jesus. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
Wouldn't that be closer to like the original skin color?
Well, it's much better than my mom's pasty white Jesus, for sure. Okay, anyway, we're moving on. So, Donna Patrice is going to spread this whole idea, okay? She's going to spread this idea of a black Jesus. And she says that Jesus was born in Africa. She's going to start spreading this idea that Jesus is born in Africa and the Holy Land is in Africa, okay? So, she comes up with this whole narrative about Jesus being from Africa and all that stuff, okay? Obviously, when the white people show up and they have this lady walking around talking about black Jesus, talking about black Holy Land, and having black Africa as, like, the chosen people, they're going to burn her at the stake. Yeah. She gets burned at the stake, which you should know. So they force her death. Okay? But she is going to start a movement. Typically, anytime you see, if you've ever seen, like, there's a couple kids here at Plant High School that have black Jesus. Like on their chains. Like there's a church, there's a black church here in town who have like these beads which has like a black Jesus. Have you ever seen the necklace? They're kind of like plastic. It's plastic and they have the beads and stuff. They were really big up in New Tampa, which is where the church is anyway. They are Antonian. It is cool. It's cool when you have a modern day connection to it. Anyway. Alright, here we go. So, here we go. You need skip a space, center it. New foods in Africa. Where are these new foods coming from, Ashlyn?
Europe.
Europe is bringing new food, huh?
America.
Yes. America. New foods are coming from America. Okay? The most important crop to Africa is manioc. And how you spell it is right here. Okay? Manioc becomes the major crop. Now, previous period, in period 1, what was the major new crop to Africa that's going to lead to a huge boom in population? Bananas. Bananas are coming from Southeast Asia to Africa. Now we have a new crop coming from, nope, not from Africa, from the Americas to Africa, and it's manioc. It is known for its starch. You need to write that down. It's a starchy vegetable which will add lots of calories to the diet. Okay, it's like a potato. It has the same amount of calories as a potato does. Actually, it has a little bit more. Okay, and think about the Irish. They've been living off potatoes since 1492. Thank you, John. With that being said, population in Africa is going to boom because of it. Now, you're going to put a big star, ladies and gentlemen. This is a huge deal. The population of Africa is going to boom because of new food, like manioc. Despite the fact slave trade is taking millions of Africans from Africa. The population of Africa is going to boom because of new food crops like manioc, despite the fact millions of Africans are taken from the continent for slave trade. So, just like in the Americas, ladies and gentlemen, despite millions, hundreds of millions of Americans are dying, there is a huge boom in the Americas of population. Why? Okay, the Columbian Exchange. We now have animals, we can have larger farms, all that stuff. So, it's opposite of what you think. Doesn't that make sense? Africa's the same way. We're having tons of populations being pulled out of Africa, but the population of Africa is booming nonetheless. See? Chart.
Whoa.
Yeah. Upward. Oh, I am going in the right direction. Nice. Upward. You're welcome for the visual. Alright. Skip a space, center it, slave trade. Okay. you need to know that African slave trade has been going on since ancient times. Okay, so Africans selling Africans to other Africans, is that new? No, it's been going on since we've been talking about Africa. Okay, why does Africans need to sell Africans to other Africans? Why? What don't they have? They do have Africans, which is why they sell Africans. Why? Shannon?
They don't have any evidence to
No, they have things. Tess? Yeah, they don't have any beasts of burden. There's no indigenous horses to Africa. There's no indigenous oxen to Africa. Now, is it a hard stretch for them to go up and get them? No, but they don't have a ton. And keep in mind, the land bridge into Africa is through the desert. Can a lot of horses travel through the desert? No. So there's not a ton of, especially in the southern part of Africa, there's not a ton of animals down there, so it all has to be human labor to do everything. Now, are they as isolated as the Americas? Hell no. However, they need slaves because they don't have any beasts of burden. Okay. You need to know European slavery is unique. European slavery looks at slaves as property, which equals wealth status. Okay, so in European slavery, the more slaves you had, the wealthier you are. Okay, so if you had extra money lying around, instead of buying new Jordans or whatever you people spend your money on, Yeezys, okay, whatever you people buy, I don't know what the hell you people do. Does it look like I'm trendy? Hell no. With that being said, instead of buying a new thing, you would buy a new person. You're like, oh man, I just got myself a new slave. And people would be like, damn, look at your slave count. And you'd be like, yes. That's how you conveyed your wealth. Not by house, not by things, but how many people you had. Okay? You need to know that they expected, you need to write this down, that the slave was expected to adopt their master's ways. So what does that mean about religion? There you go. The Europeans are the only ones that force their slaves to adopt their religion. Everywhere else, they're like, do whatever the hell you want. Like, for instance, in Egypt, when the Egyptians enslaved the Jews, did the Egyptians force the Jews to adopt their religion? No. They're like, do your own thing, but you're building our pyramids. And the Jews are like, well, this sucks, but sure. Okay? In Europe, they're like, you cannot live on my land. You know, obviously they purchase them and force them, and, you know, it's not like, hey, welcome. But you cannot be my slave unless you adopt my religion, which is kind of a really shitty way to think about things. Can we agree? They have no autonomy to themselves. Okay? Now, underneath it, and under the same heading, slavery, you're going to write Islamic slave trade. Okay? You need to know that Arabs are also getting African slaves. They have long been buying African slaves. You need to know that. The Arabs have been the largest purchaser of Africans since ancient times. White people, it's a new thing. Arabs have been doing it for a very long time. You need to make sure you understand that. The Arabs have been doing this for a very long time. Okay? How they do it is the Arabs actually go in and steal the Africans. Are white people going in and stealing? No. They're purchasing on the coastline. Arabs go in and be like, yeah, and throw a net over people. I'm like, yeah. And in my head, that's what it looks like. Like, I don't know, how would they catch you, right? I don't know either. So in my head, like, you're like doing something, and then they throw a net over you, and they say, mine, right? I guess. I'm not really sure how they do it. You could Google it, I guess. Okay, so you need to understand that they are going to capture their slaves themselves, and they're going to be competitive with the Europeans. Okay, so when European slave trade kicks up, so does Arab slave trade. Okay, so they're going to keep pace with the Europeans. Okay. Under the same heading, I would just make a new, like, not a center title, but like a new title is Early Slave Trade. You need to know that it's the Portuguese who start the slave trade. Any surprise here? Why is it not a surprise to the Portuguese? There's two reasons why it should make logical sense the Portuguese are the first ones to really start the slave trade. Guys, what is the most glaringly first one? Evan?
Because they were like sailors.
What the hell does that have to do with slave?
Because like they could get the boats down.
They can get the boats down. No, I'm going to say no on that one, Evan. Okay.
And they're the first port in Africa.
Yeah, they're the first white people in Africa. So that makes sense. They're going to have the foundation. What's the second reason? Joey?
They got a lot of money.
Guys, where did they conquer that needs a lot of slaves? Brazil. They have Brazil. So they are going to be making sure that they can supply Brazil because Brazil is making them a ton of money. And then the first one's in Africa, which makes sense. They lay the foundation. Okay. When they first arrived, the Africans don't like selling to the Europeans. Okay. The first slaves were the first exchanges were very hesitant. Okay. Eventually that changes. Okay. Eventually that changes. At first, and you need to know this, at first the slaves are heading to Europe, okay, for only about 50 years. At first they head to Europe and then they head to the Americas. Okay, at first they head to Europe to be like porters, miners, do all the jobs that no one else wants to do. All right, let's go to the boards. What do you got?
So originally were indentured servants Africans?
No, they're white people.
Because in the book it said that they're African Americans and then later changed.
It's easier just to keep them kind of separate because there's not that many black indentured servants. There's really not. There's maybe like 2,000 of them in total. You have over 300,000 white people. Do you see the difference in weights here? So it's just easier to kind of keep them a little bit separate. But we'll get to indentured servants when we get there. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the kingdom in Africa that is going to unify with Europeans in order to fight the Portuguese? Now, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who is it, William? Kingdom of Ndongo. On your whiteboard, who is the leader of the Kingdom of Ndongo who is going to unify her people with the Europeans to fight the Portuguese? Who is it? Shannon? Queen Nzinga. On your whiteboard, who does Queen Nzinga unify with to try to beat the Portuguese? Good. Who is it, Jared? The Dutch. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the Islamic region that is going to use Sharia law in sub-Saharan Africa? Good. What is it? Lauren? The Fulani. On your whiteboard, what is the name of the black Christianity that is going to rise in Africa? Where they believe that Jesus is black, the Holy Land is black, and heaven is black. What is it, Alexa?
Antonian movement.
The Antonian movement. The Antonian movement is started by who? Good. Who is it? Brian? Donna Patrice. On your whiteboard. What is it called when you have a new religion that blends with other cultural aspects of the new region? What do we call that term? Emily? Syncretism. The Antonian movement is a perfect example of syncretism. Okay? It's a perfect example because on your AP exam, I guarantee there will be an AP question, whether it is in your DBQ, your LEQ, or in one of your short answer questions that will be talking about syncretism, whether they ask about it in a political, cultural, economic. If it's a cultural, Antonian movement is a hell of a piece of evidence, okay? Here we go. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the major crop that is going to lead to a population boom in Africa? What is it, Sophia? Manioc. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what is the name of the first Europeans to arrive and start the slave trade? Good. What is it, Reagan?
The
The Portuguese. On your whiteboard, please tell me who has been part of the slave trade for longer than white people by a long time. Who are they? Who are they, Claire?
Arabs.
The Arabs. On your whiteboard, please tell me who is it that believes that their slaves have to adopt their cultural ways, specifically religion? And because of that, they're going to force their religion on their slaves. Who is it, Ashlyn? European. On your whiteboard, please tell me. That's good. All right, here we go. All right. I do want to make a quick little note of the triangular trade in your notes. I do believe that you do have it. I feel like we know it, but I do want you to write it down. So I would just write these 3 notes because, I mean, it's as simple as you get. And maybe I'd write example of manufactured goods. Like, example would be guns, rum, textiles right next to it, yes? But I would write this whole slide down. Oh, and are any of you know Miss Roy?
Yes.
Yes. Can any of you go to Miss Roy right now and tell her Miss Bennett will be in her classroom 4th period? You want to go? That would be amazing, guys. I will start here specifically for you on Monday. Here, take all your stuff. Yeah, you can just head, and I will purposely stay here, and I will wait, and I will teach this until you finish. Is that okay? I really appreciate it. So just tell Miss Roy I will be in my classroom during 4th. I'm not covering. Thank you so much. I don't even know where she lives. It's a mystery. No, I have no idea. Why would I know? I'm sorry. Do you see me outside my classroom? Have you ever seen me just wandering around? Have you seen me talk to another human?
Yes.
Who?
Yesterday you were talking to a teacher and she had the headband on.
Oh, that's Tate. That's
Talk to
Tate.
Miss Cozy.
You mean the chick 2 doors down from me?
Yeah.
Look at you, Kay. You really see me step out of my box, man.
I've seen him in media center.
With Mr. Penn?
Yeah.
He's a nice guy. I need him to like me. He's an important man. Yeah, I've been in South Hall like 5 times in 6 years, by the way. It's gross.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are you thinking my classroom is a beacon of cleanliness?
No, but like Southall's just like.
What was another manufacturer good?
Guns, textiles, rum. Those were the big ones. Would you?
In your classroom every year you've been here.
Yeah, this has been it. I'm gonna die in this room, Joey. Like my retirement will be from room 160. This is the room I will die in. Alright, so triangular trade. Next to the first one, you should have guns, rum, and textiles because it's important that you know examples. African slaves, next to bullet number 2, I would write middle passage. You don't know that term, but we're going to talk about it here in a second. Middle passage. And that's the term we're going to start with on Monday. And then for number 3, next to cash crops, you should be writing sugar, molasses. You should be writing down as well because most of it's going to be turned into molasses. Cotton, tobacco. Those are the big ones. All right, and we'll call it quits there. Is that okay? All right. We got enough done, don't you think?
Yes.
We got enough done.